Nokia sold more phones than any company in human history. At its peak, 4 out of every 10 phones on Earth had its name on them. Then, in just 5 years, it almost completely disappeared. But here's what nobody could believe. Nokia didn't lose because someone built a better phone. It lost because it refused to look up. This isn't a story about technology. It's a story about how winning makes you blind. By the end of this, you'll know how the most powerful tech company on the planet talked itself off a cliff, how its own engineers invented the future years early and were told to bury it, and why the smartest people in the room are often the last to see the end coming. This is the fall of a giant that had every warning and ignored them all. To understand the fall, you have to see how impossibly high they climbed. Nokia didn't start in tech. It started in 1865 as a paper mill on a river in Finland. For over a century, it made paper, rubber boots, and electrical cables, anything but phones. Then, in the 1990s, a new leader made a bet that sounded insane. Sell everything else, bet the entire company on the mobile phone. It was the right call at the perfect moment. The world was about to go wireless, and Nokia was ready. They made phones that were simple, tough, and beautiful, phones that just worked. One model was so indestructible it became a legend people still joke about today. By 2000, Nokia was the most valuable company in all of Europe. Their slogan promised to connect people, and for a while they connected the entire planet. Walk into any room, any country, and you would see their phones in every hand. They weren't just winning, they owned the game. And that was the beginning of the problem. Because deep inside Nokia, the future had already been invented. Years before anyone else, Nokia engineers built a phone with a large color touchscreen. They even built an early version of an online app store. The whole future sitting in their hands. But the bosses looked at it and saw a threat to the phones they were already selling. Why gamble on something strange when the money was pouring in from what already worked? So the prototypes were shelved, the reports were filed away, the future was put in a drawer. They had seen exactly what was coming. They simply could not believe it would beat them. After all, who would want a phone with no real keyboard and a battery that died in a day? It was a fair question. It was also the last comfortable laugh they would ever have. 2007, a rival walks onto a stage and holds up a single slab of glass. No keyboard, no buttons, just a screen you touch with your finger. The crowd goes silent, then roars. At first, Nokia's leaders are calm. They have seen us before. They are not afraid. But this time is different. Customers don't just like the new phone, they fall in love with it. Then a second giant releases free software that turns every other company into a touchscreen rival overnight. Suddenly, Nokia isn't fighting one enemy, it's fighting the entire industry all at once. And the software inside Nokia's phones, the part that really mattered, was old, clumsy, and falling apart. Their engineers begged to start over. The bosses ordered them to patch the old system instead. Patch after patch, the cracks only spread. They were repairing a sinking ship with tape. The numbers turned first slowly, then all at once. A new leader was brought in from outside to save the company. He wrote a brutally honest memo. He said the company was a man standing on a burning oil platform. Jump into the freezing water or burn. There was no safe choice left. So he made the most fateful decision in the company's history. He bet everything on a third option. He tied Nokia to one struggling software giant's phone system, abandoning their own for good. It was meant to be a lifeline. It became an anchor. The new phones arrived late to a world that had already moved on without them. In 2013, the unthinkable happened. The king sold its crown. The greatest phone company the world had ever seen handed its phone business to someone else. A few years later, the new owner gave up too, and wrote the whole thing off as a loss. Tens of thousands of jobs gone, a national treasure reduced to a cautionary tale. But here's the twist that should frighten every winner watching this. Nokia didn't fail because its people were stupid. They were brilliant. That was the trap. They were so good at winning the old game, they couldn't bear to start the new one as beginners. Success had become a pair of golden handcuffs, locking them to the very thing that was killing them. Every empire believes it is the exception. Every single one eventually meets its iPhone moment. The only question that ever matters is simple. When the future arrives early and knocks, will you open the door or laugh at it? Nokia laughed. Don't be Nokia. If this story moved you, subscribe. The next collapse is one even bigger names never saw coming.